Good evening and welcome to the December 16th meeting of the Redevelopment Commission, our last meeting for 2024. I have a full desk with me this evening, including Vice President Jacob Blaisdell, Secretary Chris Meter, members Rhonda Schwartz and Adam Young, our school representative Eric Rosebrough, and our Economic Director Carmen Lethig. In the audience is our Executive Assistant Eder Lopez. I have confirmed that we have a quorum and proper notice of the meeting has been given. We did not receive any previous public comment this evening, so we'll move on to the next agenda item of consent of regular session meeting minutes from our November meeting. Those were previously distributed. Any other comments or edits? No. All right, we'll go ahead and approve those by consent. Next on the agenda is approval of claims and expenses from the previous month. Any that we want to highlight, Carmen?
Yeah, so there is a fee on there for the AIM roundtable meeting fee. I mentioned attending that at the last meeting, so that's on there. And then there are two claims from REA, and these should be the final claims for the Gateway. I believe I've said that before, but I did double check. So these are basically wrapping up some closeout documents and some punch work for the Gateway sign. And that's it.
Thank you. Will that be turning red and green here soon, maybe next week? Awesome. Any questions for Carmen? All right, I will entertain a motion.
I make a motion that we approve the claims as submitted.
Second.
Thank you. I have a motion and a second. All those in favor of approving the claims and expenses, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Passes 5-0. Next is our director's report from Carmen.
Well, mostly it's just been working on making project notes and transition notes for my last day, which is this Friday. I've left pretty detailed notes on all the projects I've been working on. Jennifer, Eder, and Grant have those, and there is a folder that if you guys need access, we can figure out how to get it, but it's on the town's drive. So that's it.
All right. All right, we have quite a few items for new business this evening. The first one being a resolution, 2024-04, approving funds for the trail/bridge improvements. Do you have some explanation, Carmen?
Yeah, so the Speedway Trails Association has been working on the B&O Trail Bridge that's on 10th Street near Holt Road. This is a protected pedestrian bridge that's on the north side of 10th Street where the B&O crosses 10th. So the funds were used for the construction and for the metal work that kind of goes over and helps it be more protected, and the electrical work. The electrical work, I think, is finished. I've reached out to Bev just to confirm. Haven't heard back from her yet because I just emailed her today. They did run into some delays due to some material, getting some materials that they couldn't get. So, but it's finished for all intents and purposes. So this is the SRC's portion of that project, and the town did give some money last year towards it.
All right, any questions? All right, I will entertain a motion to approve the resolution.
I make a motion that we approve Resolution 2024-04, approving funds for the Trail Bridge improvements.
Second.
Thank you. I have a motion and a second. All those in favor of approving the resolution, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Passes 5-0. And now, since we want to get this paid to Trails as soon as possible, we have next business is approval of to process the payment of that invoice. Anything else on that, Carmen?
No.
Okay. We just talked about it. So, Jacob, can I have a
Yeah, sure. I'd like to make a motion that we approve a claim to the Speedway Trails Association in the amount of $218,980.
Thank you. I have a motion. Do I have a second?
Second.
Thank you. All those in favor of approving the payment, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Passes 5-0. All right. Marching down the list, next is Resolution 2024-05, a declaratory, say that 5 times
Nailed
fast,
it. You got it.
resolution of the Town of Speedway Redevelopment Commission establishing the 16th and Lyndhurst redevelopment project area and allocation area. Carmen?
Yeah, so this is something I've been working on the past couple weeks. So we started thinking to take advantage of the new restaurant at 16th and Lyndhurst, the Borage, to take advantage of the increased assessed value that will be happening as a result of that new the new building and the new business that is there, to create a tax increment financing or a TIF allocation area. In order to do that, you actually create a redevelopment plan that has boundaries, and then you also have a list of statutorily required items that are in the plan. And then you also create other boundaries that are just the TIF allocation area. So pulled up on the screen is the boundaries for the redevelopment area. Most of this is residential. It doesn't really affect nothing happens to the residential. There are no new taxes being put on anybody. The boundaries are for if we ever want to use the TIF dollars inside this boundary. So if there are ever any projects that, you might think are along 16th Street, in the park area, Old Town Hall site, and then some more of that commercial right at the node of 16th and Lyndhurst. So kind of thinking about in the future, if there's any kind of development that you want to happen in that area, this new increment will be available to use within these boundaries. So this is what the plan is referencing. So these are the redevelopment area boundaries. And the way that it picks up, just so you all note, on the most eastern edge, it butts right up to basically the Main Street TIF. So that's why it kind of doesn't go all the way to Main Street, because just on the, right side of that most eastern edge is already in a TIF area. And then if you want to go to the next slide, this is actually the TIF allocation of where we are grabbing the increment of the assessed value. So we wanted to get the declaratory in before the end of the year. So that's what you guys are approving today. Next Monday night, the town council will also approve the same declaratory resolution. And then next year, whether it's January or February, you guys will approve a confirmatory resolution that you'll need a public hearing, a public notice and a public hearing for the confirmatory. So the map, and it's fine, the map is, thanks. The map is there. Again, magic. I did want to note, so it's just the yellow highlighted area that is the TIF allocation area, and we've included, really, it's just like the commercial area, but we included the park because right now it's all one parcel. I know, it's interesting. If any future redevelopment does happen, no plans right now to do that, but if it does, you'll be able to grab that increment from any new development to go into the TIF as well. So I think that's it.
Any questions for Carmen?
This seems like a proactive move. Is that a fair assessment?
Yes, yeah, and I just think it makes good sense if there is any desire to think about that area as sort of an extension or a new node, a new neighborhood node for a commercial area, and there is opportunity there. I do want to stress that we have no plans to do that right now, and this is no new taxes on anybody's, property taxes. It's only new development that happens, assessed value that's taken and put into like a new pot, basically. But yes, it's very proactive in thinking about the future. It's not going to be a huge increment. I don't have the exact amount because we don't know exactly what the assessed value is on the Borage property yet. But the very, very loose calculation was just a few $100,000, but it's a start for some funds to be able to use for redevelopment in that area in the future.
And obviously Speedway being a landlocked community, you know, we have to look for these type of opportunities, not really understanding exactly what our future is and what type of businesses that we want to be. So these type of proactive moves really positions us for, you know, being flexible with whatever type of business or the development that hopefully our future does come through with. Is that fair as well?
That is fair, correct.
Yeah, I think this is really exciting. It's not every day that people add TIFs to their municipalities, so this is pretty unique, and I think it's smart for us to do that. We've seen the momentum happening in this area, and like Carmen said, the opportunity, developers are starting to take a look and thinking it's the next hot area. So I'm excited what it could mean for our town, and will set us up to help further that growth in the area. So, great. Well, I will entertain a motion.
I'll make a motion that we approve resolution number 2024-05, a declaratory resolution of the Town of Speedway Redevelopment Commission establishing the 16th and Lyndhurst redevelopment project area and allocation area.
You're just showing off.
I'll second the motion.
All right, we have a motion and a second. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Passes 5-0. All right, our last new business item is a consideration of approval of alteration plan pursuant to economic development agreement and declaration of covenants, restrictions, and easements. Carmen?
That was long. Yeah, so this is a new agreement that I would say complements the economic development agreement for the Wilshaw apartment area. So earlier this year, Scannell Properties asked us if we would consider a proposal by them to change the configuration of the vacant retail space in the northern building of the Wilshaw Apartments. And we've worked with them over the past few months to come to a place where we all feel comfortable doing that. So basically, this agreement that is before you today is an agreement with Wilshaw Apartments to modify the parking garage. They're going to add 12 parking spaces in that northern part of the north building, which is replacing vacant retail space. So also as part of the reconstruction of that space, they're going to move the leasing office that's in the south building to the north building and have frontage on Main Street as opposed to it has frontage on facing the parking lot currently. And I would say probably coincidentally, but it's a nice coincidence, also have filled some retail space in the south building with the Christmas shop, and we've talked about that a couple times in this meeting. We've also worked with Scannell to ask them to replace the window screening that's been there, and they're going to do that, and then to add local artwork in the bump out in the northern building. And so that will rotate annually in partnership, hopefully with some organizations here in the town of Speedway. These changes, they do not affect the assessed value, so we aren't going to see a hit to the TIF. There are no new public parking spaces, only additional parking spaces for the apartments. Our bonds are not affected by this. Those are covered. So, yeah, any questions? Oh, and we do have a Scannell representative here if you guys have any questions.
I do, actually, if you don't mind. Could you talk a little bit about just like what prompted the project or kind of why you feel that this is needed?
Sure. Just for the record, I'm Tom Jason. I'm with Scannell Properties in the Wilshaw Apartments. Appreciate your time this evening. So largely the request, I'd kind of boil it down to three reasons. The first one being the limited success we've had in leasing the retail space, understanding that we had success early on leasing the Fun Days, and they've been a great tenant, and recently Santa's Pit Stop, who we're super excited to have. Outside of those two, it's really just been limited traffic. We listed the space with our broker in 2018, and since then, it's just been slow trickles in, and haven't been able to lease it, and don't believe that we will be able to in the foreseeable future. The second reason I'd say is due to the limited parking we have for the apartments. It looks like there's plenty of parking in the rear of the building. A lot of those stalls are reserved for public use and for the future development to the north. And so our apartment, or what's dedicated to the apartment, is somewhat restrictive. And so the addition of 12 spaces would largely alleviate that. And lastly would be the moving of the leasing space, or the leasing office, to Main Street. Its current location in the rear of the building has no real Main Street presence, and so we believe that moving it to Main Street would be a huge help operationally and just that visibility.
Great. And with this being a parking garage, which is a pretty simple construction install, in the future, if by chance you get some people clamoring for some space, would it be a pretty easy conversion to like a finished office or retail or something like that?
Sure, I think it'd be possible. The columns are all staying in the same place, and we're largely just expanding the existing garage. So converting it back, if the market demand justified it, would be possible.
Okay, great. Well, I appreciate how accommodating you've been on the window screens, and I think this artwork on the north side is really going to bring some life to that corner of Main Street. So I really appreciate that.
Yeah, of course, and appreciate all of your help in this late days, and we're excited about our program too. We still need to figure out how exactly that gets programmed, but we're excited to work with the local art groups in the town for making that impactful.
Thank you. Any other questions, comments for Tom?
I think moving the leasing office to the front is going to be, like you said, a big help. Yeah.
Yeah, it's tough to find in the back right now.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it'll provide some life too
Right.
on Main Street,
Yeah.
and some more movement in the windows, so that'll be great. Good. Well, thank you so much for coming this evening.
Yeah, of course, thank you.
All right, I will entertain a motion to approve the alteration plan.
I'll make a motion that we approve consideration of approval of alteration plan pursuant to the Economic Development Agreement and Declaration of Covenants, Restrictions, and Easements.
I second.
Thank you. I have a motion and a second. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Passes 5-0. All right, we have no old business listed this evening. Any activities, community activities coming up? It's getting towards the end of the year. I appreciate everyone who's come along on the ride with us for 2024. Carmen, thank you so much for all your time and efforts here. It's been great working with you, getting to know you. Definitely really wish you the best of luck. And so excited for you, so thank you so much.
Yeah, thanks, Carmen.
Yeah,
Appreciate it.
Thank you.
All right, well, I will go ahead and adjourn the meeting at 6:18.